Tonight I'm here at the Credit Union Conference Room in Charlestown, Nevis, and this time we are speaking with the CARICOM Electoral Observer Mission. We've spoken with the OAS Observer Mission so far and the National NGO Observer Mission, and now I think this is the final Observer Mission that's here, and we're going to hear from them, CARICOM, so this one is regional, about their role in the process and what it is exactly they'll be doing here and looking for, as well as who they've spoken to so far. We have with us Pauline Welsh, and she is the chief of the mission, and she is accompanied by Ambassador Colin Grandison from the CARICOM Secretariat. He's the Assistant Secretary General there, and he works in Foreign and Community Relations, as well as Denicia Francisco, who is a project officer in that very same unit. Good night. Thank you so much for agreeing to meet with us on such short notice. First, explain to us about the CARICOM Electoral Observer Mission, the role, and exactly why it's so important to have one.
We were invited to come by your government. The invitation came to the CARICOM Secretariat. It came, perhaps, could you remind us of the date?
Around the 23rd of June.
Yes, around the 23rd of June, so to speak. We arrived on Friday of last week. That would be the 7th or the 8th, thereabouts. So we arrived on Friday. At least two of us came on Friday, Ambassador Grandison and myself. We had a couple of meetings on Friday. What we did, we have been to look at the the layout of the polling stations and so on. The objective of our mission really is to observe the process as it unfolds. We will be looking at various elements of the process. We will be looking at the political environment, the campaigning. We're also going to be looking at the machinery, the electoral machinery, and the management of the election. We have met with some of the stakeholders in the process. On Saturday we met with the members of the Chambers of Commerce. We also met with the Ministers Fraternal and other civic groups. We have met with some of the political directorate. We have had meetings also with the electoral officials as well, the electoral commission, members of the commission as well. So that is pretty much what we have been doing since then. We did also we checked on the polling locations as well. So pretty much we have an idea of where we're going to be going on Monday.
Could you speak to the importance of having such a mission, CARICOM assisting countries in that regard?
Perhaps Ambassador Grandison, do you want to take that one?
No, simply that it's an increasing tradition within the Caribbean community where member states request of the Secretariat to deploy an election observation mission. It's seen as a contribution to the maintenance of good governance, to democratic elections. And I think what's extremely important to underline is the fact that the missions can only be deployed at the request of the host government.
Has CARICOM been doing this for many, many years, or is this something new or recent?
Not something new. As far, maybe as far the election observation has been from the decade of the 90s. That is when that really took off. This is really not anything that is new either for CARICOM or any of the other organizations or group of countries that have been doing observation mission. Observation is nothing new. The advent of it was in the early 90s.
Now, there's a concern about all electoral observation missions that come here, that they don't get on the ground early enough to really follow what's been going on and keep up with the issues as they develop and really get an idea, a thorough, in-depth idea of the issues affecting people. That is pretty rushed by the time they get here. Can you speak to that? Is that at all preventable?
We can only come if we are invited. We can't come before. What we have been, we recognize that coming at the time that we do, perhaps we are at a disadvantage, but we have really hit the ground running, so to speak. What we have been doing is really gathering information on the process. So there's a lot of research that we do on the process. We talk to persons on the process, and we are in the business of gathering information so that we can assess the information at the end of the project and really make an informed decision. So the fact that we come late, perhaps that is seen as a disadvantage, but there's really much work that we do to make sure that we capture the environment within which the poll is taking place.
I know you said you got the invitation maybe around mid-June. The end of June. What would be some of the constraints? I know that the OAS explained that they would have to raise the necessary funds. What would be some of the constraints for CARICOM?
Perhaps I'm going to ask.
Yeah, so we would have the same resource constraints. Normally, if we have the time, what we do is that we inform all member states that we're about to field a mission, and we ask them to contribute both the human resources and financial resources. Obviously, that takes time. In this particular case, with regard to the Nevis Island Assembly elections, we had to use resources coming from the Secretariat itself. With regard to notification, I'll just give you an example, because time, obviously, the date, the timing of the request is extremely important. Simply said, for example, last year, with regard to the general elections in Haiti, the elections were due to take place in November 2010, and the invitation to both the Caribbean community and to the OAS, the invitations were sent out in July. Therefore, it was possible to, also in view of the fact that the elections in Haiti were perceived as extremely critical and difficult, complex elections, both organizations fielded a mission much earlier than they normally would. But a lot depends obviously on resources. If you want to come in early, it's going to cost much more. And all depends on the contributions of member states.
Now, you came in, is it, I don't know if it's procedure, but no announcement, I don't think an announcement was made that you were here. The Prime Minister is the chairman of CARICOM right now. He did announce that the OAS mission was coming, but we didn't hear anything about CARICOM. So is that a part of procedure? Was there a reason for that?
I can't answer that.
We really would be able to say where it was announced, but what we did, we issued an initial statement, sort of alerting the public to our presence, and we can give you a copy of that statement. We came on Friday and we sought to release it immediately, but really we can't speak to why there was no announcement as to the fact that we would be coming.
So give me an overview of what you would do on election day.
Alright, on election day itself, we're going to be observing the opening of the poll and the procedures as they unfold. So basically, we're going to be going into the stations. We're going to be as unobtrusive as possible. We're going to be looking at just the general atmosphere around the taking of the poll, whether or not the procedures are being executed in accordance with the law. We're also going to be looking at the count, the vote tabulation process.